soda, so I figured I'd knock this out early. Uh, I got my dog with me this morning. He's a Boston. His name's Benny. Um, he's about 9 months old, but he's awfully needy. Sitting at my feet the whole morning. Anyways, um, I had an exchange yesterday with a young man wanting to buy a business, and he laid out a process. And this has been, God, it's a recurring theme. But the issue of um, people coming downstream from the M&A market to try and buy Main Street businesses and using that process um, to do a deal at Main Street is wildly frustrating to the people in the deal. To the sellers, it's frustrating because their expectation of doing the deal and the way it's always been done. So let's define Main Street. That's the business under $5 million, right? And what's happening is everyone now can go in with the SBA and has access to up to $5 million with a ton of assumptions. First, very few businesses will qualify for SBA, very few. And we've talked about that problem for years. It is something that will not die in this generation. The die is cast. That will not change. It was 20% of businesses had tax returns, even less are qualifiable. That will continue to be a low number, simply because small business owners can't afford to be taxed, so they do crazy things like not reporting cash, etc. So the pool of stuff that can be grabbed is very, very small. With the rush of people into the space, we've never had a shortage of buyers, but now we have more than we ever had. And a great deal of them are uneducated or ill-educated, and that is the issue. But what's interesting is that we, the people in the business, should have educated them. Um, I'm a voice crying out in the wilderness. I had ebooks, I had YouTube videos years and years ago, but I'm one man and I'm not good at execution. Hi. And along came people who saw an opportunity to monetize that appetite and desire to buy something. And that's just the genius of advertising, identifying a underserved space and then presenting a solution. Not exactly one that works, um, but one that sounds good. And if you polish, and if what you say to people sounds good, it's human nature to um, believe it. I mean, Cody Sanchez comes to mind. I mean, she's got people paying her 10 grand for a course. She does these seminars. She's got an email list, and they implant in people's minds issues. And then when these people get to people like me who control the inventory and have contractual and you know legal obligations to the sellers, we can't do things the way they want to do it. I had a guy yesterday ask me for all the financials. They asked me for every bit of financials on a business before they'd even, I'm sorry, it's early here. They asked me for all the financials before we could even, get to a contract. And what I was explaining to them, they were shocked. It sounded foreign to them that I was telling them this is the way to do things. Um, so there's a tension. And it frustrates the brokers. If you were able to sit in a room with 50 brokers, we talk badly about the Instagram followers. We bitch and moan about the misinformation or the ignorance of the buyers. And yet, the vast majority of us make no effort to change that. Now, my answer to everybody is you have to go out and do exactly what we're doing now. You have to talk about it. There is no way to do it. It's the same issue. I was at my board meeting for the veterans buying businesses, and they asked me, how do we address the gap of sellable businesses to, the buyer pool? And I'm like, dude, you guys don't even walk in the shoes of the people who own the businesses. Every guy in the room had an MBA or was a CPA or was an attorney. I'm like, when's the last time you guys talked to a plumber or an HVAC tech or your mechanic other than have your transmission fixed? You don't talk to them at the country club. You don't give them any information. You don't. when they do talk to you, you bill them. So they naturally avoid you. They just stay away from you because they don't understand what you're talking about, and you talk over them. You don't talk to them in a language they understand, and you're certainly not helping them because you should have got to them early. You're not changing a 55-year-old plumber. You're just not. He's built his life the way he's built his life. And it's sad. There's going to be a lot of carnage when these businesses collapse and can't be sold. But the sad part is it's going to be a generational shift. You're going to see people die, businesses crumble, people will pick through the bones the assets, but the goodwill components of those businesses, they're not going to get sold because the buyers have no money to buy them and they can't access the only way you get funding for businesses, which is the SBA. Because guess what? Banks aren't lending to business owners with no experience. And this has been its way. So the only choice for sellers is owner financing. Inflation's gone up. The idea, their lawyer is telling them, oh, there's risk. Well, there's also a risk in not selling. So these people are trapped inside these businesses, and what happens is they freeze. Like I talked to a guy yesterday. I met him 7 months ago. 61. He's had a Parkinson's disease. He's had a stroke. He runs a large cleaning company at night. Everything he has is in his personal name. The business is in his personal name. He sends out 7 trucks every night to clean the floors of big grocery stores and retail stores. And the day I met him, his name is Mark. I said, dude, stop. We got to get you a will. We got to get everything in trust. We got to protect what you got. So that was 3 months ago. 3 months. And I was driving down the road and I saw a cleaning company. I said, you know what? I'm going to text him and see if he's done anything. So I texted the guy. I go, Mark, hey, it's Mike. Did you do any of the stuff we talked about? He's like, well, I'm talking to my lawyer. 90 days. 61, has had a heart attack, has had Parkinson's disease, and everything he owns is in his personal name. So if his guys get in an accident, they're going to go after him. There's 30 acres on that property I was on. Um, Really valuable acreage, by the way. I don't want to nag the guy, but it, that's the stuff you're going to see. Is like it's hard for people to. I mean, I had a seller yesterday, 67, has a nice cleaning company. It's coming to market, does not have a will. And she said to me, um, well, I'll get to it after this is done. I'm like, no, you got to get to it beforehand. You got to get to it beforehand because I don't want to get biblical, but we don't know the hour or the day. And then I'm like, well, is your husband on the bank account just in case? Who owns the house? Is he on the deed? Right? Or you're going to just create a way to lose money. We, I, I have a whole new appreciation for life insurance people selling life insurance. And what I tried to explain to that lady and to Mark was you have a duty to your family to do these things. I don't care. I don't make a buck off a life insurance policy or disability policy or you getting a will. I don't. But you damn well need to clean up your act and get your stuff together because it impacts the way you run your business. They're intertwined, they're not separate. Anyways, I hope you all have a good day. I've got a crazy busy one.